Tantor with a recap, belated recap of the Gasparilla Bowl, Georgia Tech's 30-17 victory over University of Central Florida. Fantastic. Tantor spent about 9 days down in Central Florida area and Gulf Coast and everything else, and had a wonderful time. So stayed a little bit longer to celebrate the win and just say, hey, Georgia Tech people went down there and spent a lot of money. So that's one of the things I liked about this. The Georgia Tech fan base. We sold out our ticket allotment. We went down. We represented. We had a good time. And I don't think we got in any trouble doing anything stupid. So complete win across the board there with the Georgia Tech fan base. And that's another thing that I liked on this. The Tantor fan base. The Tantor fan base, no matter if I was at the game, parking lots, American Social, the Lightning game, the sale, anywhere that I was at, we were running into Tantor's fans. So that was great. It was awesome talking to everybody and just talking football. Got to talk football for 5 straight days. It was tremendous. And anytime I can talk football, I'm thrilled. So I was just loved every second of it. So thanks to everybody I met and saw down there and talked to. Keep on watching. That's what we do. That's why I like doing it. I like being there in the fans. As I told a lot of people, I like being with the fans. I am a fan. I like being there. I like being in the crowd. I like cheering the team on. And especially when there's something good on the field to cheer for, which we had for the majority of the part. So the game, let's get right down to it. You know, it started out rough. To me, what I saw was that I thought Georgia Tech changed their defense, something that I wanted them to do all season. I really would have liked to have asked Coach Key a question in the press conference afterwards, but I wasn't allowed to because of the media director of Georgia Tech pulling my press credentials. Evidently, I've stepped on some toes, just a few. But it looked to me like Georgia Tech went from a 2-gap scheme where the defensive line just holds up the offensive line and the linebackers are supposed to make the plays, to a single gap responsibility where every player on the defense has a gap responsibility. And the first 2 drives, it looked like they were playing a single gap man defense. I thought didn't have outside contain, got beat on some outside contain plays on the run, and then their wide receivers just torched our defensive backs in man coverage. There's no other way of putting it. They just got destroyed. Give up 2 quick touchdowns, and our defense wasn't even a speed bump, and I was looking at it going, oh no, one of these games again. You know, on offense, we were running the ball a little bit, but it looked like Haynes King was very tight. All of his passes were in the dirt. He was overthrowing them, striding too far forward, and the balls were just way low. You know, his teammates, they need to make some plays for him to settle him down a little bit, and they couldn't do that. But in the first quarter, we only had 1 complete pass in the entire first quarter. So not a good start to this game. The first quarter was just basically a complete disaster for Georgia Tech. However, they settled down. Got to see a couple plays with Pyron in there running the ball. But it looks like the key for King to settle down is to have him run the ball with the read option, which he runs incredibly well. And our 2 running backs out there, you know, Jamal Haynes and Devontae Smith, were tremendous. Can't say enough good things about them, both of them. Haynes even went over 1,000 yards for the season, which was awesome. And Devontae Smith got a touchdown in his last game, and he was 65, 68 yards, something like that. So real good rushing attack. And Haynes King had in the 60s also. We rushed for like 284, 285 for the game. So we were really able to run the ball. And that was key. We were able to control the game. It's what our offensive line does best, straight ahead blocking. They tried the first drive. It was kind of a mess. with them pulling guards and tackles, and it just, no. Have our guys block straight ahead. They can make first contact. They can move guys. They can create holes. Let them do it. It's what they do best. And they did. For the rest of the game, they did. We got behind 14-0, kicked a field goal. UCF responded with a field goal, and it didn't look too good. But defense started making plays. One thing that we started doing in the second quarter was blitzing our linebackers. And it's not something we really did all season long. Rarely, but we started blitzing. With single gap responsibility, they were getting home. And one of the best plays I saw in the second quarter was, you put 44 out there at linebacker and you have him play straight, he does everything at 100%. And that's what I want to say. If you make a mistake at 100%, I will forgive you. Tantor will forgive a mistake at 100%. And he absolutely, on a big third down, destroyed the running back that came up to pick him up, which knocked him back into the quarterback, and the quarterback had to release the ball too soon with an incompletion. We had a turnover on downs. It was awesome. He didn't get home, but he made the play by causing them to throw the ball early. And we went to a soft zone. Now, that's one of the things I hate. I hate our soft zone. Hated it all season long. But it's obvious that our secondary, that's what they play. Our safeties are soft zone safeties. Our cornerbacks, I hate to say it, we got one kid that's a good man cover corner out there, but you have to have three. You've got to have a slot guy that's a good in man, and you've got to have another corner opposite him that's good in man. And we just don't have that. But when we put our zone guys are 0, 14, and 18. And when you've got them out there playing zone, they can actually play zone. And they do a decent job at zone, even though it's soft. We're going to give up some plays. But it looked like UCF, when we went to zone, completely threw them off. It's like, oh, wow, they're in zone. We've never seen zone before. It's crazy. That's what we ran all season long, was these soft zones that weren't any good. And we were passed up on, at will. But for whatever reason, this game, when we went to zone, it really threw UCF off. And with our linemen penetrating, but it made it better because our linemen aren't standing up at the line of scrimmage and trying to hold up the offensive line and trying to take on blockers to have the linebackers make plays. They're penetrating, and they were getting in the backfield, and they were putting pressure on the quarterback, which we haven't seen all season. That's one of the benefits of playing single gap. And they were in the backfield. They were making plays. They were putting pressure on the quarterback. They were knocking down passes. They were hitting guys. I loved it. I loved everything about the defensive line. And I'm going to shock people that have listened to Tantor all season long. I love the linebacker play. I thought the linebacker play was tremendous. And yes, I'm going to say this. You're not hearing this incorrectly. 13 had an incredible game. He had an incredible game. He was all over the place. And it looked like they flipped him from Mike to Will and had 44 at Mike, and that just clicked. Both those guys were making plays. They were flying all over the field, making tackles, getting in on everything. Both of them played A games. And I've said that about that all year long. But this game, they deserve all the credit in the world. Fantastic play by the linebackers. The defensive line played extremely well. And I would say they were A games too, except for they lost outside contain a bunch of times. But I think that was just being over aggressive. And that's what happens when you got young guys that aren't used to playing defensive end, losing contain. But still, we had one guy, picked up a sack there on the year. It might have been his only one of the season, but he was tremendous off the edge. And that's what I want to see, and that's what we got to see. Our front seven, which I would have said before this game was a weakness, was actually a strength. And I think that was a change of defensive philosophy. I can't confirm that, of course, but it looked to me like a change of defensive philosophy, and I was very, very encouraged with that, and I'm encouraged going into next season if they keep that aggressive mindset, especially with 44 coming back and a couple transfers coming in at linebacker. Loved it. Loved everything I saw there. We got to see 18 submit the game at the end with a nice interception, reading on the zone. I like everything they did. The second half, they pitched a shutout. I mean, we scored 27 unanswered points, and the defense pitched a shutout. If we get anything from that defense with our offense, we're going to look really, really good. So very encouraging with all of that. Our running game was fantastic. Our passing game was a little iffy, but I really think that's because Haynes King was tight. And late in the second quarter, when we were making our comeback to tie the game up, he hit Malik Rutherford in the corner with a nice 40-yard pass for a touchdown. That was perfect. So I think if we needed to have passed in the second half, which we didn't, I think we had 23 straight handoffs in the second half. We didn't need to pass. I think if we needed to, I think he had settled down, and I think we could have really dialed a score on UCF. We looked really, really good the second half. So very encouraged. Liked what I saw. I liked the offensive line. I liked our running backs. I thought that they were tremendous. I thought that the defense came through, and outside those first two drives that things didn't work out at all, but they were playing man, and the man concepts with these guys, just for whatever reason, it doesn't work with what we've got going on there. But a little bit of change of personnel to a zone personnel grouping, with the line getting penetration and causing pressure, blitzing some linebackers, it really worked out. So that kind of concept is what we need to see. I thought that we came one hair missed tackle on punt returns from taking one to the house. I really like to see 17 back there returning punts all season long in warm-ups with him returning punts. He's showing off his skills, one-handed punt catches, stuff like that. Real burst, got some speed, real burst in speed there. And I thought that he just slipped the tackle and he could have taken one to the house. So I was excited about that. I was excited about what I saw on defense. I liked the whole thing. And it's something that I've been wanting to see all season, and we got to see it. Finally, we got to see it. Now, we need to have a great spring, get our transfers in, get our new guys in, see who can help us out, and hopefully, we can have some type of carryover to next season. So, a great win. We needed it. We have a winning record for the first time since 2018, CPJ's last season. It was nice to see. It's kind of nice to see it in old CPJ style with a brutal running game that just punished the other team. And I don't mind that at all. It looked good. I liked it. Like to thank everybody again down there that said, hey to Tantor, all the fans of the show. Really appreciate you guys and girls, because there were a couple female fans down there that we have, and we appreciate that too. Always approachable. I like you guys. That's why I do what I do. I have fun with it and I enjoy it. Love Georgia Tech and love talking football with Georgia Tech. So, catch our live stream. It's going to be more of a national concept with the end, but we'll always be putting some more stuff out there on Georgia Tech. So, just keep an eye on the channel. Tantor out. See you next year.